Clashes between ethnic Serbs in northern Kosovo and the Republic of Kosovo began on 25 July 2011 when the Kosovo Police crossed into the Serb-controlled municipalities of North Kosovo, in an attempt to control several border crossings without the consultation of either Serbia or KFOR EULEX.Though tensions between the two sides eased somewhat after the intervention of NATO's KFOR forces, they continued to remain high amid concern from the EU, who also blamed Kosovo for the unilateral provocation. On 19 April 2013, an agreement was signed in Brussels between representatives of Kosovo and Serbia. The 15-point document granted devolved powers to North Kosovo regarding economic development, education, healthcare and urban planning, and a number of mechanisms that allowed a certain degree of autonomy in justice, policing and electoral matters. Background: past unrests. Kosovo-Serbia border crossings. The clashes occurred a long standoff over cross-border trade. Since the declaration of independence, Kosovo has been unable to export anything to their territories directly controlled by Serbia's government. There was disruption to cross-border trade following Serbia's ban on Kosovo imports, even though many jobs on both sides of the border depended on international trade. Serbia also stationed troops in the northern region to enforce a boycott of goods from Kosovo proper. Although KFOR had made implementation of the vague ultimatums to remove the barricades, Kosovar Serbs had in the past used mountainous tracks to cross between northern Kosovo and Serbia proper. At the same as the bridge dividing Mitrovica was closed from transport to the south, the daily train to southern Serbia was packed. The EU also demanded that Serbia dismantle the parallel structures of government in northern Kosovo. Serbia's Secretary of State for Kosovo, Oliver Ivanović, said, "We don't see these as parallel structures, we see these as the only structures because we do not recognize the independence of Kosovo." Quote. He also said that a partition of Kosovo is out of the question, even though Serbian President Boris Tadić said he was open to the possibility. The Serbs of North Kosovo do not acknowledge or cooperate with the government of Kosovo. Prior to the Kosovo Police's attempt to take over the border crossings on 26 July, they were controlled by EULEX and Serb members of the Kosovo Police. Goals: North Kosovo, as part of the Assembly of the Community of Municipalities of Kosovo, observes United Nations Security Council Resolution 1244 and defies the 2008 Kosovo Declaration of Independence. The government of the Republic of Kosovo sought to install customs officials at the border crossings with central Serbia. Kosovar Serbs opposed the presence of Kosovar Albanians at the crossings. As such, they erected roadblocks to make movement difficult for KFOR personnel. Timeline: on 26 July 2011, during the operation to take control of the border posts, Enver Zimbari, a member of the Kosovo Police Special Intervention Unit, was killed by a Serb sniper. 25 more policemen were wounded, with at least one being treated in hospital for severe wounds. The KFOR Mi-17 helicopter that had moved the 16 Kosovo Special Police personnel belonged to the Croatian army. Later that day, the same helicopter had been fired at. An hour later, 14 new Kosovo police officers and 3 customs officers were located in Brnjak. Though the Kosovo police later withdrew and there was a lull in tensions, some Serbian protesters returned in the evening and attacked the post. Clashes continued on 27 July after armed Kosovar police took over 2 border posts to enforce the writ of the central government in Pristina. Ethnic Serbs burned down the border post at Jaranj. The mob, which reportedly included dozens of masked men, armed with crowbars, clubs, axes, Molotov cocktails and handheld flares, as well as rocks and other debris, were said to have attacked the NATO troops who were a part of KFOR operations. Reports also suggested the troops may have been fired upon. This was the same border post that had been burned down in 2008 after Kosovo's unilateral declaration of independence. Following the intervention of KFOR's NATO troops, a NATO operations officer, Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Adamets, said that the situation is now under control, but tense. There was a thaw in tensions on the 28th of July, after all Kosovo units withdrew from North Kosovo, leaving KFOR's NATO troops in charge of maintaining peace in the region. In return, the Serbs removed most of the roadblocks they had created. KFOR took full control of the two crossings and General Erhard Bula declared the area around the two crossings to be military areas, therefore giving shoot-at-sight orders to his soldiers for anyone crossing the area. A Serbian man was later beaten up in Strpce, allegedly due to being Serb, however this has not been confirmed. As of the 29th of July, NATO units remained in control of the two border posts. However, they were prevented from returning to the bases by some of the roadblocks set up by hundreds of Serb protesters. The column of American and Slovenian 30 armored vehicles then withdrew from the barricade, even though they were given permission to move against the protesters using force, if necessary. The decision was made to avoid further bloodshed. On the 31st of July, the Serbs continued to man the roadblocks and KFOR soldiers remained isolated at the border crossings they were manning. The Kosovars then organized burnings of Serbian products and General Bula sent an ultimatum to the Serbs blocking the road. On the 1st of August, NATO said that Swiss Army sappers, supported by other KFOR troops, had cleared 3 of the roadblocks but claimed that there were still at least 5 blocks remaining on the 2 roads leading to Serbia. The Kosovar Interior Minister Bajram Rekapi ordered Serbia's Minister for Kosovo and Metohija Goran Bogdanovic and the head of the Serbian negotiation team, Borislav Stefanovic, to be deported after allegedly having entered Kosovo illegally. The next day, however, some roadblocks remained in place with all major roads being completely sealed off. Agence France Presse reported of a severe food crisis and a shortage of medicines in the north. KFOR then requested a battalion of 550 German soldiers, assisted by 150 Austrian troops, to reinforce its presence in the north in order to deal with a possible future unrest. On the 3rd of August, Kosovo Prime Minister Hashim Thaci reiterated a refusal to back down on his trade ban as some of the roadblocks remained in place across the north. A deal was later struck to allow KFOR to control the border crossings in return for the dismantling of the blockades. KFOR helicopters were then used to bypass the roadblocks and establish a skeletal EULEX and Kosovo Police and Customs presence at the border crossings. September to December. On the 16th of September, tensions reignited after the Kosovo Police, EULEX and NATO units airlifted troops from Kosovo proper to the two border posts in an effort to re-establish control over the north. Local Serbs then blocked all the major routes leading to the two border crossings, including 2 major bridges connecting the divided town of Mitrovica, and vowed to stay there until the bitter end. causing all the troops at the border crossings to be virtually isolated from the rest of Kosovo. The European media reported that youths from both the Albanian and Serbian communities pelted each other with rocks near one of the blocked bridges, which then led to a KFOR intervention to stop the violence. The previous night passed without incident in most of northern Kosovo, except for a minor incident near Zupsa and Cabra with shots being fired in the area because of an increased police presence in Mitrovica. After the shooting, Kosovo Serbs set up another barricade next to an already existing encampment in Zupsa. On the road from Mitrovica to Rebarasi, gravel was unloaded across both lanes of the road leading to the southern part of Mitrovica. The next day there were similar clashes at the roadblocks after they were reinforced with more Serb protesters and Kosovo police officers. On the 18th of September, makeshift roadblocks were still visible as the local Serbs continued to block roads, amidst promises to maintain the roadblocks until a dialogue begins about who would man the border crossings and what will happen with the revenue collected from the customs duty. On the 19th of September, KFOR helicopters dropped hundreds of leaflets urging the Serbs to end the roadblocks. The five-sentence leaflet, written in Serbian Cyrillic, warned citizens that blocking roads was against the law and therefore such a move is not in line with peaceful demonstrations. Blocking roads represent danger for all in extraordinary situations because there is no possibility to deliver help to those in need. Confirming the airdrop, KFOR spokesman Ralph Adametz said that the leaflets were dropped at the barricades close to border crossings 1 and 31. He described the overall situation as unchangeable, but underlined the need for opening blocked roads. KFOR said the mission recognizes the right for peaceful protests and demonstrations, but blocking roads doesn't represent any accepted way for expressing your concerns. The airdrop began hours after the head EULEX.Though Manhak visited the two disputed crossings. According to him, both crossings were technically ready to be fully operational, but the barricades that had been put up on nearby roads prevented the gates from being utilized. On the 27th of September, 4 soldiers were injured by pipe bomb explosions. NATO spokesman Kai Goodnoja then said that German KFOR troops were forced to fire rubber bullets and tear gas in self-defense against Kosovo Serb protesters after being attacked at border crossing Gate 1 following an attempt by Kosovo Serbs to erect a new roadblock after KFOR blocked an alternative road to Serbia proper. 5 of the protesters were arrested. Hospital officials in northern Kosovo said 7 Serb protesters were also wounded from gunfire which erupted in the afternoon in Jaranj. Head of Mitrovica Hospital Milan Jakovljevic said the wounded had been brought to his hospital for medical treatment. We can't say if anyone has life-threatening injuries at this moment, since we are assessing the current extent of the injuries. The Kosovo government in Pristina said that it was working with both KFOR and EULEX in the quest to open the barricaded roads in the north. The local media in Mitrovica reported that 2 EULEX vehicles are set on fire. KFOR's commander said that his troops would forcibly remove roadblocks on the 17th of October if Kosovo Serbs did not voluntarily do so. KFOR's General Erhard Draz said that KFOR is ready and resolved to take action on behalf of freedom of movement. Quote, however, Kosovo Serbs said that they would take defensive action to counter KFOR's attempts at forcibly removing the roadblocks. Though the deadline passed to remove the roadblocks, KFOR troops who were sent to remove them left without incident in an effort to give the local Serbs more time to decide themselves. A KFOR commander said that, "We've been given orders to go back as we cannot go through barricades." Spurs said that with the defiance of the ultimatum as the North did not comply with the request to remove the roadblocks, quote, in response, Kosovo Serb politicians said that any KFOR operations would be halted till the 19th of October for community leaders to discuss a possible compromise solution. Slava Saristic, mayor of Zuban Potok, said that there will be no KFOR actions today or tomorrow until representatives of municipalities agree on how to end the impasse. On the morning of the 20th of October, KFOR and EULEX clashed with Kosovo Serbs near Branjak, resulting in the injuries of 22 Serbs, including women, and 3 serious injuries, as well as 8 KFOR injuries. KFOR then entered North Kosovo after failing to reach an agreement of free movement inside 4 of the Serb municipalities of Kosovo. On the same day in Dobrusa, near Pek, a Serb was killed and 2 other Serbs were injured by an Albanian perpetrator, who later gave himself up to the Kosovo Police. Another peaceful protest was held in Gračanica by a few thousand Serbs. At this time, the majority of Serbs south of Bar, beyond North Kosovo, still depend on Serbia, while only 5% are talking with Kosovan Albanian institutions. On the 24th of October, an Albanian from southern Mitrovica took a bulldozer and tried to destroy the barricade at the bridge, but was stopped by the Kosovo Police. On the night of the 23rd of November, KFOR tried to remove a barricade in the village of Judan KRS. They withdrew about an hour and a half after midnight. Afterwards, an explosion went off in 1 o'clock CET in northern Mitrovica near the Faculty of Economy, which damaged 2 cars. A total of 21 KFOR NATO soldiers were lightly injured, one of them seriously, in the night between 23 and the 24th of November. On the 20th of December, Zvornko and Zarko Veselinovic, who had allegedly organized the 27th and the 28th of September barricades at Jarinj and Janjanica, respectively, were arrested on Kopaonik by Serbian police, which caused controversy in the Serbian public. North Kosovo referendum in February 2012. 4 northern Serb-dominated regions held a non-binding referendum to ask if the institutions of Kosovo should be recognized. The results saw 99.74% of voters reject the Republic of Kosovo. Shortly after Serbia's new president Tomislav Nikolic took office, on the 1st of June, in Zavekan KFOR German troops blocked a bridge with armored vehicles and barbed wire in an attempt to remove a roadblock, causing a confrontation with several hundred protesters who threw rocks at them. The soldiers were then reported to have fired back with rubber bullets and tear gas, which led to a further conflagration with Kosovan Serbs retaliating using handguns. 4 Serbs and 2 German soldiers were wounded. Spokesman Colonel Uwe Novitsky said KFOR condemns this act of violence. KFOR will not allow the situation to escalate and will use a proportional level of force necessary to maintain a safe and secure environment. KFOR also said it would continue to seek the removal of roadblocks, while Kosovan Serbs vowed that those affiliated with the government in Pristina would not be able to impose the writ on the north. Zavekan's mayor Dragiša Milovic said that KFOR refused to allow Serb medical personnel to assist the wounded Serbs. A commander told me they have the authority to use deadly force on anyone who throws a stone or uses a weapon. Brussels Agreement Response. Kosovo Prime Minister Hashim Thaçi said of the initial police operation that it was a concrete step in establishing the rule of law. Quote, He also added that through cooperation with the international community, the Constitution and the sovereignty of my country are sacred for myself and for my countrymen and go beyond any partnership or loyalty. On the 3rd of August, Kosovo stated that it would not accept a KFOR Serbia deal which included moving roadblocks in northern Kosovo. The next day, Foreign Minister Enver Hoxha accused Serbia of seeking to exploit the increased tensions to pursue what he called Serbia's long-held dream of partitioning the region. Serbia. During the first phase of clashes, Serbia asked Lebanon and Germany to hold an emergency meeting at the UN. Russia and China also supported the Serbian request. However, the United States and the United Kingdom were opposed to the move as they wanted the Kosovo issue to be discussed at the UN next month. The UN approved the Serbian request and the UN emergency meeting was to be held on the 28th of July, and will be held behind closed doors. President Boris Tadic's office also condemned the violence. The hooligans who are sparking violence are not defending either the people of the Serb state. The people must refrain from violence. After the first phase of the clashes, the State Secretary for Kosovo, Oliver Ivanovic, said that one act of violence produces more violence. I am afraid we are entering a spiral of violence. Reuters also quoted the chief negotiator of a Serbian team trying to find a solution to the violence, Borko Stefanovic, as saying that this violent act, an act of criminals and extremists, represents a clear attempt to undermine the process we are pursuing and the attempts to resolve all the issues in a peaceful manner. This greatly aggravates the position of Serbs in the north of Kosovo and Metohija and is not contributing to the resolution of the problems which had brought us here in the past couple of days. Goran Bogdanovic, the Serbian minister of Kosovo and Metohija, said that Kosovan Serb officials and KFOR needed to reach an agreement and asked for KFOR and the Kosovan Serbs to stop the violence as the initiation of talk on the 19th of October. Talks showed Serb willingness for a peaceful solution. Vuk Jeremic also said that KFOR needed to stop instigating violence and stressed that the UNSC Resolution 1244 should be respected as it sought a peaceful solution. KFOR EULEX. On the 29th of September, Erhard Draz took over command of KFOR. On the 19th of October, talks between KFOR and Kosovo Serb officials began. KFOR gave the ultimatum of free movement inside North Kosovo by KFOR and EULEX vehicles, which was accepted. However, an EULEX presence was rejected. KFOR officials, however, insisted that EULEX had to also be given entry. As a result, the talks remained deadlocked. KFOR Lieutenant Colonel Ralph Adamek said that KFOR had no plan to use force to remove the barricades, but that it nevertheless had the right to use force. For now, we do not need to use force. Goran Bogdanovic said that the Kosovo Serb officials and KFOR needed to reach an agreement and asked for KFOR and the Kosovan Serbs to stop the violence. The Serbian Minister of Foreign Affairs Vuk Jeremic added that KFOR needed to stop its cycle of violence and stressed that UN Resolution 1244 needed to be respected as it sought a peaceful solution. Supranational bodies. The EU's High Representative for Foreign Affairs and Security Policy Catherine Ashton issued a statement after the initial clashes that read, "I strongly condemn the violence that has taken place in northern Kosovo. These latest developments are unacceptable." Quote. She also added that it was the responsibility of the Serbian and Kosovo government to restore peace between the two nations. Quote. Her deputy spokesperson, Mayor Kočijancic, said that Kosovo's unilateral decision to take over the border posts was not helpful. It was not done in consultation neither with the European Union nor the international community, and we do not approve it. At the same time, a NATO statement read, "The situation deteriorated at the customs post Jaranjin. It was confirmed that an act of arson was committed against the position. There have also been confirmed reports of shots fired at KFOR personnel in the vicinity." Other countries. France. Following the 2012 incidents, a foreign ministry spokesman said that it was unacceptable that the KFOR troops were fired upon, and this showed a need for Kosovo and Serbia to work together to implement their agreements. United States. President Barack Obama agreed with Kočijancic, but did not condemn Kosovo. Macedonia. Ali Ahmeta, the leader of Democratic Union for Integration, said after the initial clashes that if the north of Kosovo was given to Serbia, then he would no longer be the self-declared Macedonia's guardian of peace. He also added that Albanians would have to organize themselves as they had done in 2001. Republika Srpska. President of Republika Srpska Milorad Dodik supported partition of Kosovo between Serbia and Kosovo.